My name is David Urbach with Technologies Now, and our podcast is called The Business Edge. And today we have Jeremy Henley with us with TheQwikFix, and we're going to go through your journey here. So thank you for joining us, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. As kind of a kickoff here, can you walk us through your personal journey? I'm very interested in that. You don't have to go way back in time, but if you want to talk about growing up, your career, and really what led to the founding of TheQwikFix, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of all part of the story, actually. So, uh, I grew up in the middle of nowhere on a little tiny farm where we kind of had to, fend for ourselves and learn how to fix everything. So, been pretty comfortable with doing things with my hands, but knew I wanted to get out of that, pretty early age and go to college and get into business. And so I did those things. Got into sales. Eventually got into tech sales and selling software. Like
Oh,
enterprise
cool.
software. Got into like the cybersecurity game actually pretty early on. Um, and then on the side, I've been investing in real estate. So, that's kind of how I got hooked on real estate. I'd been curious and interested in, fixing up my own home, doing rehabs and selling them, getting my hands on rental properties. Uh,
Nice.
and then as my software career kind of continued to progress, I ended up in a place where before we even called it AI, I was selling predictive modeling and machine learning tools to insurance
Oh, cool.
carriers and helping them do underwriting on cybersecurity related stuff because there wasn't a good way to really underwrite cyber risk. So we had to make up ways to predict, as accurately as we could what would happen to a company in a cyber scenario. And I learned a ton about AI before everybody started calling it that
Right,
and what
right.
it
Yeah.
took, what it took to make those systems work, how to organize data, how much data you needed. And in the meantime, I was struggling with contractors as I was flipping properties and doing it in different parts of the country. And, even on my own home, as I learned a lot, still bad things would happen. And I just,
Right.
got fed up with it one day and said, you know what, this needs to be fixed. And I can go deeper into that later on here. But ultimately, that led to having kind of this uh, knowledge set that not a whole lot would have of, understanding construction, being pretty comfortable with construction and home repair, being pretty comfortable with software and working at tech startups and how AI works or predictive modeling, machine learning works, and how to combine something really cool that I think can solve a pretty huge problem. And, now we're in the thick of it and really solving a problem that's out there with what we're doing, which is starting to get over the hump and become a lot of fun now.
That's cool. Was there a certain aha moment that you had where you thought of the whole quick fix model? And I also want you to get into what it is. Let's talk about it. It's a
Yeah.
good baseline for our conversation from here.
Yes. Well, so there's kind of two incidents. One that kind of pushed me and then one that pushed me over the edge, I guess. So, you know,
Okay.
here I was, based here in Southern California. And so, the home that we bought, somebody was knocking on our door trying to sell us solar panels every day, it seemed like. And, we interviewed about 10 different contractors, kind of, no contracting to some degree. Um, Found a guy that was licensed, bonded, insured, detailed quote. And so we pulled the trigger on that one. Project was finished, and I didn't even know at the time like how to tell if my system was producing anything. And so I, was calling them like, come back out here and like show me how this thing works. And they're ghosting me, missing contractor. You've probably heard that one before.
Yes, I've heard
Uh,
that one before. Yes.
and I finally get somebody out there, and they're like, oh, well, the problem with your system is it's used. I was like, what?
Oh my God.
Your inverter that takes the solar and makes it into electricity, it's used, it's not working, we're gonna need to return that. And I was like, well, it shouldn't be used. And here comes the lawsuit, here comes the contracting board. And I
Wow.
went pretty deep into how all of that works and went through a
Hmm.
lawsuit, got their bond money. So I'm like, all right, someday I'm gonna make some lemonade out of these lemons.
Right.
And you know was inspired by that to do something, but I didn't quite know what it was yet. And then I had one of my rehab projects. There was a thing that came up on the home inspection that the buyer got, um, a small foundation issue. I offered to fix it, give them credit, a couple $1,000 would have done it. But they had a friend come out that was a contractor, and the friend told this
Mm.
guy, "Oh, this is a $40,000 repair," and the
Wow.
potential buyer says, "I want 40 grand or I'm walking." I
Hmm.
was like, "Not happening, pal." And so he walked, and that deal fell out. And that was like the real moment because I turned to my agent and I said, this is really bad. We now have a flipped house, which kind of comes, with a lot of scrutiny to begin with. It just fell out because of a home inspection item related to the foundation. I now have to disclose all this to the next buyer. Uh, this is bad. And he's like, oh, when everybody should get a home inspection, but when you do, it's a whole document full of problems, not answers. And he's like, it's the
Hmm.
worst part of being a real estate agent because contractors don't want to, come give us bids. And I was like, well, I think I know why that is, but let me talk to my contractor buddies and see if that's true. And ultimately, when I would talk to the contractors, they would say, we love when real estate agents refer us to remodel work, but when they call us and we're not even talking to the potential buyer. The buyer is 30 to 45 days from owning this home. It's a low probability deal. They want a ton of detail. They want it tomorrow, and it's not a good chance I'm going to get the work. So, as soon as I sniff that out, I'm too busy.
Yep.
I can't help you, that kind of thing. And but the contractor said, but if you could make that work easy for us to get, our guys would love to fill in days here and there where we don't have work with that kind of job. That's usually a couple day job, something like that.
Hmm.
And I was like, boom, that's the marketplace. I got high demand on one side and a fulfillment on the other side, and a ton of friction that if we can find software to solve this problem, we can make a home repair marketplace right out of this whole entire problem and make everybody happier. And I had a sense that we could do that because of the past work I'd been doing. And
Hmm.
I'd seen enough home inspections to know that they're not the same, but they're similar, and the language they use is similar, and the images that are in there are similar. And so, I knew we would figure it out if we just took some of the things I had learned in the software space and sell into the insurance carriers of how we organize the data and how we catalog it and pull, thousands and thousands and thousands of home inspections, pull them apart and create quotes out of them. And so, if you fast forward to today, our software can read any home inspection from any home inspector anywhere in the country, understand what the issues are that they have flagged, pull in tasks that will fix those issues, and then adjust the price to the local market so that it's an actual firm quote, not a ballpark estimate. This is a firm
Hmm.
quote to do the work in that market. And then we've got contractors who we've vetted, who are part of our platform, who will pick up that work at the quoted price and go out there and do it and get paid. And everybody wins. It's awesome.
That seems like it solves problems for everybody. I mean, I can think from the real estate broker side, or, the agent saying, "Hey, I'm trying to close this deal. That's really all I'm trying to accomplish here. I'm trying to get my customer in the house or out of the house, if they're buying or selling." And yeah, I mean, based on your story about the foundation, how it just blew that deal, those happen every day. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not the foundation extreme situation, but the fact that all of a sudden it looks like it could be this high amount, and maybe it's not that big of a deal,
Yeah.
and no, the contractors are really not interested in showing up, based on what you said. Low probability. You're spending time, driving around a metro area, thinking of that, trying to drive an hour side to side or 2 hours to, provide a quote
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, this
Yeah.
is really that's really fascinating. I'm surprised I haven't heard of this. Maybe my head has been in the sand. I'm an ostrich or something, but this is fascinating. I feel like there's people I want to introduce you to just based on this conversation. So,
Yeah.
um,
That's awesome. I mean, it was in August, I think it was 15% of the deals under contract fell out of contract in August, this past August, which is like one of the highest rates ever. And it was mostly related to unforeseen repairs. I mean, the
mhm,
market has a lot to do with it too, but
right,
if they needed a reason to back out, they were there because of the repairs and just people being spooked by it. You don't have to be spooked by it. There's answers now.
right. So, in more of a buyer's market, there's more of a demand to make sure these repairs are met as opposed to waiving them. I would clearly that's how it's going
Yeah.
to work. Maybe in the over a high market where it's there's a lot of activity, and it's really a seller's market where you see them paying more than the actual, listing price. Maybe not as much. They're going to pass on some of these, and maybe some of the corporations, if they're still buying out there, they might pass. Interesting, but now as the market shifts, and the average market should want exactly what you have. So
Yeah.
that's pretty interesting. So tell me about that technology. I'm fascinated. We are technology now, and that's kind of our space. Not exactly what you're doing. Not competing with you at
Yeah.
all, actually, but we're fascinated with the tech stacks you put together and the solutions that you've come up with. If you could tell us a little bit about that without sharing anything your competition might come up with, if there's competition
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. No, so to do what we've done, it first took a lot of like hard manual work of looking at all of these issues that come up in home inspections and categorizing things and determining, what is the right repair for that, and just making it, consistent on our end. And as we collected enough data, we were then able to train a large language model to understand that when the home inspector says this, it likely means this is the right repair. And then, be able to go in and put in confidence levels with those things, because, we're on the hook to do the work, or have contractors go do the work rather, when the client wants us to. So it has to be accurate. And there's other tools out there that are like, here's the ballpark, um, you know, but there's no contractor that would fulfill it, right? And it's a lot more meaningful in a transaction if it is a real quote that could be fulfilled and is often fulfilled. That's where we make most of the money for the company. Um, so it continues to improve, but we had to really build a system that could spit out here's what the AI thinks is the right solution, and then have humans still go through and retrain it, and then as part of that retraining, like make it an accurate quote, send it out the
Hmm.
door. But now we have an accurate quote that gets sent out the door, and we can go back and retrain the AI. And then because we do the work, it's not just here's the right task, but here's the right price for that task too, because we're
Hmm.
testing that as well when we go out and complete these jobs. Because if nobody ever approves it, we're probably too high. And if we're too low, the contractors seem to remind us that that was not a
They
good
will
price.
definitely remind you. Yes.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. There's like a little kind of little wiggle room in there, but not a lot of wiggle room to get it right. And that's kind of where we live.
That is fascinating. Now, could you see this down the road being a prop tech kind of plug-in as just part of the process as it becomes smooth and needs less and less interaction from a person? Then it's a subscription, and by subscription plus by inspection type rates, and then it kind of spits it out the other end. Obviously, you got to get to the point where you have good enough quality control that happens. But I could totally see this plugging into systems. I think of just tech stacks that we put together, which is more automation flows and lead follow up generation, sales analysis, sales call analysis, these types of things. But I could see this absolutely plugging in when it's doing a kind of a perfect job. Is that how you
Yeah,
see it?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we work a lot with home inspectors because they're usually the one who gets the question after the inspection of, well, okay, here's a 80-page list of problems. What does this stuff cost? And in some areas, home inspectors are forbidden from answering that question altogether. But nationally, their kind of code of ethics is like, you're not a licensed contractor, and if you were, you can't make money off the home inspection, so don't answer that question. And so that kind of like
Right.
starts
Yeah.
to make their service not great, like, oh, I'm here just to tell you everything that's wrong, you know, and then
Right.
they want the agent to hire them again and again and again. So it's kind of
Right.
it puts them in a little bit of a tough spot. So they love what we're doing because it gives them an outlet to say, I can't answer that, but go over here and they'll give you a quote for all these things. So we spend a lot of time with the home inspection and like working to get more embedded into their systems. We also work with brokers and some of the software companies that the brokers license to be in their systems, just to like their compliance systems. Did I get a signature and everything? Did I order disclosures? Did I order a
Right.
home inspection? Did I get a quote for that home inspection? So we're working to be embedded in there. But I mean the big picture is we've got very unique data and a distribution system that we're building, and we'll be able to get to a place where, because of all of the instances of things that were not right in homes and the the detail we are collecting on it, we'll be able to help you go to some part of your home that you're having a problem with and help you diagnose it and then confirm what it is through some images and then give you a very accurate quote to come and do a specific task at your home that should fix the problem that you're experiencing, right? And that's where we get to the back to the problem I wanted solved. And the world I want to live in is like everybody can have a lot more comfort getting home repair done because it's organized and categorized, and it's like you and all your neighbors are paying the same price for this thing because it's the same thing, right?
Right, right. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that either. So you're expanding my world. So thank you for this mind expansion of, I live in a house. It's 30 whatever years old, and there's always work that needs to be done, no question about it. And getting someone out, getting a quote, if you can streamline that process and actually
Yeah,
get somebody out. I think of times when it's the contractors are very busy in the Denver market still. I would say if we're still from home building to repairs to all these sorts of things, and
hmm,
it's not the easiest thing to even get them out. But if you can plug them into a
yeah,
system and have the system work for you and know you have confidence in it, because I think there's a lot of people you have very little confidence in contractors to do maybe the right thing or even show up or whatever it happens to be. And
yeah,
you give them some guaranteed with a nice system and your reputation that you have, pushing that out. So this is way beyond just the inspections, obviously. So
yeah.
that's
And that's one of the things we've really
fascinating.
learned about this is when you call that contractor and say, hey, I have this thing, when they tell you they're too busy, they're not always too busy, but they're evaluating, is it worth my time?
Hmm.
Do I feel like I can sell you what I need to sell you? And is
Right.
it a big enough job for me to travel across town uh, to potentially get that $600 job? And if they're like, I'm too busy, right? So you get a lot of that. But if someone else helped figure out what exactly needs to be done and said, if you drive across town today, you're going to make $600 and you
Hmm.
don't have, your options are pay for a lead and go compete to get it, or just take this one off the table and go do the job and get paid. It's the latter every time. So, we have an easier conversation with contractors because it's just a different phone call or, outreach to them when we reach out.
Excellent. And then obviously you're building your network. You have a pretty good network, it sounds like, in California. And I saw your list of cities that you have contractors in, so you can do work there. That's a pretty good size list. I mean, how many cities approximately are you serving right now?
We have 8 major markets that we're like actively targeting and growing in. We have contractors in every major market though, and we kind of set that up pretty early on to have someone we can turn to that is vetted and has all the local requirements, generally license, bond, and insurance, and understands our process and our system so that, if we need to fulfill a job there next week, we can do it. And we've been very successful now. We've filled jobs in, I think, 16 or 17 different states. Um, you know, 99% of the jobs we've ever sold have been fulfilled. So, the system works and we're
Wow.
able to get, good contractors onboarded. And, they like what we're doing, and it is easy for them to go do this work and get paid. So we get good performance too, because we just cut them off. There's a lot more contractors out there, and if we need to cut somebody off, we will. We try to there'll be things come up sometimes, traffic jams, trucks break down, that sort of stuff is,
All right. Absolutely. Right.
okay to a certain degree, but not communicating that that's what's going on, that's not okay. And they're told that ahead of time. They don't follow it, then they don't get more work, and that allows us to continue to have a good system.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So at this point, your business is coming from home inspectors, real estate agents, I'm guessing. Is there other surprising markets that or sources of leads that come your way, or referrals, I should say?
Those are absolutely the main ones. I mean, we see some stuff coming from appraisers. Their reports are not nearly as detailed as a home inspection, but we are in a spot where, and this is becoming a little bit more common because of the market that we're in. Uh, we see people who are refinancing their home and typically like doing a reverse mortgage kind of refinance, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes they can't get that refi into that reverse product to go through without making certain repairs in the home. And sometimes when you're in that position, it's because you don't have a bunch of extra money sitting around to go make repairs. And
Right.
so we do allow like pay at close type financing, and so shows up on the listing side or in these reverse mortgage side, where we'll go out and do repairs so the deal can close, and then we are just getting paid by the bank at that point when the job is complete.
Well, that's a great way to do it. Is that your quick list program?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
My
That's
notes are
right.
good. Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of on that side of things, we sort of believe that you know where I want to see that go is to kind of draw a comparison to the automotive industry. You can go to Auto Trader and go meet Bob in his driveway, and he'll tell you everything's great with this car, and you might get a good deal on it. Or you can go to the dealership, and they had a dealer trained technician review it and go through an inspection on it and make repairs to it. And then it also comes with an extended warranty. Same car, costs a little bit more, but it's probably a better deal in total, even though it's a little bit more expensive. So why not do that for your home? Like these things are as is homes, and people are like, oh yeah, I took really good care of it, pride of ownership. Show me, right? And a lot of people
Right.
show up with, oh, here's all the receipts and all the permits I pulled and everything I did. Nobody shows that when they sell that home, but if you at least have it inspected and find out what's wrong before you list it, make repairs, have good, clean proof that you did those repairs. And if there's an opportunity to update it a little bit, great. Now you've got the best home on the market. You're going to stand out in front of your competitors, especially as we head into, potentially a little bit more of a buyer's market. That's the way
Hmm.
to stand out and have your home move first, faster, and for more money than Bob's home that's not really been inspected yet, right? And who knows what's going to pop up during the inspection on that one.
Right. Right. So eliminate surprises. Nobody likes surprises. People like to know what they're getting into. People like a good deal, but I think they like to know what they're getting into more than a good deal. They want to that's probably
Yeah.
considered a good deal for most people.
Right.
Again,
Right.
eliminating
Especially in
surprises.
like your biggest asset, right? For most people is,
Right.
it's not your car, it's your home, right?
Yep. It's yeah, it's definitely not your car unless you're a really interesting collector and you got you're
Right.
Jay Leno. You have some cars that actually go up in value. Everyone else's cars go down in value. So yeah,
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
your house for sure. Back to thinking of the home inspection process and then the estimation process. Do you see maybe not? We'll leave the inspection process out of it because you're coming in after that, and there's things that need to happen. But actually, let me switch that back around because if you're doing it proactively and going out to a house, you're doing an inspection with not as a licensed inspector for a home sale, but to inspect the house for the problems they have for the reverse mortgage. Maybe that's afterward, but people just have my house if I need a furnace and I need maybe shingles or how's my drainage or whatever it is. So you're going to actually be going out there proactively to do the estimation and then putting the contractor costs together, the estimates together as part of it. So with that, do you see like, augmented reality, looking at things with glasses, looking at everything and being able to pull that information back in, that would be better almost firsthand than what the inspector possibly is providing. I know their reports are detailed, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
checklists going on in there. Or drones or what, I mean, where do you see this really going? Think, I
Yeah.
don't know, 5, 10 years, what does this look like? How is it different?
Yeah. Well, so it's all about things you can do to make it more efficient and drive the cost down, right? And so where do contractors spend time that is inefficient for them? Um, One of them is collecting materials. Like there's so many jobs where the contractor, they show up at, between 8 and 9 in the morning, they walk around for a half hour and then they leave. And most people are like, you guys didn't even do anything, right? Well, they're at
Right.
Home Depot or someplace like that, getting materials for the next hour or two. And then they're back at noon, and most homeowners are like, what is going on here? It's been half a day, nothing's happened, right? So, can we do things to improve that? Yeah, and I think we can, whether it's pre-ordering or having a lot of those materials set aside in a box, so to speak, at the big box store or whatever, that they can just swing by, grab the materials that's already set out for them. And, if you can nail that, they save a bunch of
Interesting.
time. They could get
Yes.
more done. They'll make more money
Mhm.
that day, right? So that's one of them. And then absolutely the augmented reality, I think We've actually are working some angles to try to get our hands on, some of the meta glasses just to see what we
Hmm.
could potentially experiment with that a little bit. Because, if you walk into um, a property and, if you waste 10 minutes because you're looking for the shut off valve for the water or something, like you lost 10 minutes. But if it's telling
Hmm.
you it's already over there, it was identified in the home inspection, walk over there, uh, you know, great. Even farther than that, I think you can get to some tools and even some like predictive modeling type of things where I can almost bet I know where there's pipes and wires and things behind the walls I can't see, and it might be a prediction, but there's other tools where you can confirm that could be all baked into these, kind of technologies over time. So, um, I think there's that. There's dashboards we envision creating that kind of show the hot spots in your home based on the home inspection, based on time, based on season, things where, this needs your attention more now than,
Hmm.
now that summer's passed and your air conditioning wasn't working great. We don't need to worry about that right now, but we do need to worry about cleaning the gutters and tuning up the furnace at this point, cleaning out the ducts or, whatever it might be. And it's not just, hey, this is a good idea. It's based on the inspection that was done at time of
Hmm.
transaction.
Well, that's interesting, and that also makes me think of even kind of subscription program where you own a house and you have your people or your technology or combination, whatever it is, come out every year and go, we're just going to look at the house, make sure it's okay. It's your checkup every year, right? It's kind of like you get your
Yeah.
furnace cleaned and, you know, making sure your air
Well, back to the
conditioner is
car,
working.
right? You get your car serviced
Yeah.
every year or every certain milestone, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sure everything works. It's better to fix things before they're too far broken because that's a cheaper way of doing it. No, I can
Yeah.
absolutely see this.
Yeah.
I know there's companies out there that, well, I don't know. Is there actually, let me ask you that. Is there companies out there that are doing some sort of maintenance program that you could team up with? Or is that just
There,
a thought I have?
no, it's been tried a lot of times. It's never really stuck.
Okay.
So, you know, uh, and I think it's kind of like, I don't know, if you have to hire an attorney and they want a retainer, it's like, so I pay you all this money and then you're just available for me at some point when I need you. Like that's the deal. Uh, it kind of ends up being like that. It's like, give me $500 a month and I'll be able to come out there and do $500 of work every month if you need it. But if you don't, then what do you do with it? So,
Right, right.
does it just accrue and you're going to pay it anyways? I don't know. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that model work well, but I think it's more because of just the incentives aren't quite worked out right. And, that's really what we're figuring out how to do here is like align everybody to make this a better deal for everybody so that ideally more people do more home repairs.
Yep. No, that makes perfect sense. So, would you consider your company a high tech company, a contractor company, a what category does your company fit into? I'm just really curious about
Yeah, I
where's
mean,
your NCIC code or whatever that's called.
yeah, I mean, we're definitely a prop tech category software company. I mean, we're a software company. I mean, we don't own any hammers. We don't own any tools. We don't have any trucks, right? We're just a software company that kind of sits in the middle and handles some of the business and clarification part of this process that is matching homeowners with contractors who have the appropriate licenses and the ability to do the job. And then having another way I think about it is like we're like a purchasing agent for the homeowner, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you've probably bought more cars in your life than water heaters or roofs or some
Very
other
true.
kind of home repair, right? So you're better at buying a car than you are at buying a water heater and like what am I looking for here and like what are the specs and what's the fair price and how do I figure it out and how do I compare these things and make sure I'm getting the right deal. People just never really get good at it, but that's all we do every day. So, we've become very good at knowing what's right and what's wrong. And, the contractor can't pull the wool over our eyes, so to speak. And they know that when they're going into it, but they're getting a fair deal. So it's worth it for them to still work with us because they're getting
Mm-hmm.
a good deal. They're just not getting a really, really good deal for them and taking advantage of somebody else.
Yeah, no, that's great. Again, back to the comfort and working with contractors; those two don't go together. And to your point, people don't get good at buying water heaters. I never want to be good at buying water heaters. I
Right.
do want to be good at buying cars though, because I appreciate that. So
Yeah.
yes, I
It's a little more
yeah
fun.
yeah it's a whole lot more fun certainly. Um, let's switch gears just for a second here, and then we'll probably wrap up. But
Sure.
Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you like to do, and what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah. Well, my wife and I, we just got back from a sailing trip, actually. We're both sailing captains, and we were down in Belize, actually, in the
Oh, nice.
lagoon down there, second biggest barrier reef down there. So, we've spent a anniversary trip down there sailing around, and we've done a lot of those kind of charter trips where, we go get a sailboat or a catamaran for a week or so and just kind of cruise around and drop anchor somewhere and go swimming and hang out. So, we just
Oh,
got back from that trip. We're a blended Brady Bunch family, and we
mhm.
have eight in our family. So five boys and a daughter, all
Wow.
teenagers. It's
Oh my gosh. Wow.
We're a busy household right now, man. So we chase
Yeah.
them around, take them to their events. Thankfully, some of them can drive now. That's helping a little bit.
Yes, and hopefully some drive the other ones, and so you get
Yeah,
the yeah that'll take
yeah.
care
We
of.
have our own little Uber network internally now. So
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you need to keep working hard and making this business work really well. Obviously, it sounds like it's going fantastic for you, though. So
yeah,
awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and thanks for joining. I definitely appreciate it.
yeah. Thanks for having me on. It was great to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers.